That was our last song. We ready? Okay, put this on. So we are on chapter 7 of Joshua is what we're doing. So we're still in the central campaign. So we're on chapter 7. So let's see where we get today. Just thinking about that. So just a recap. So pretty much we've been to now that Joshua is now head of, he's taking Moses' place basically. And so what we've also seen is that they have gone in and taken over the land of Jericho. I want to go back, and if we just look at this map kind of tells us where we are. And we have this chapter 7 to me is almost like it's we're picking up where we left off, because where we left off in chapter 6, we know that they have gone to battle and I can't pronounce, Ashan has actually, they won the battle, but Ashan has actually wronged God or did not follow the instructions like he should have. So if we look at the map, really we are right here in Ai. This is where we are. We're in Ai. Okay. It's where we are for today. So just looking at our map. So looking at chapter 7 and starting with chapter 7. So what we have in chapter 7 is looking at these verses. Well, if you look at verse 1, I don't think I didn't do anything. We talk about Ashan, and Ashan is the gentleman we know back from chapter 6 that when they told him to go in and take the land, they told him not to take anything, correct? Not to take anything. And so not to go any further with that, but we'll talk about Ashan more. So Joshua, at this point, also what we're seeing in verse 2, and anybody I don't want to be the only one talking, please. In verse 2, what we have is Joshua. Here we go again with the spies. So Joshua is then sending spies to Ai. He's sending spies out to Ai. So we have these spies again. And these spies come back basically and tell Joshua, well, Joshua, don't let everybody go. Send maybe 200 or 300,000 of the men to go up and smite Ai. Don't have all the people come and smite Ai. So Joshua does just that. He sends 3,000 people. And in his sending of the 3,000 people to Ai, actually 36 of his men actually are killed or smite by the men of Ai. And so they actually leave and run. The rest of the men run and leave Ai. Anybody, your thoughts here, just with those couple of verses right there, and talking about those verses and looking at those verses right then and there. So just my thought is, okay, you sent 3,000. When you send in 3,000, only 36 got killed. Why did they run? What was the purpose of running? What was the purpose? Why do you think they ran? What caused them to run? Anybody? Just some thoughts? What do we think? So it says, we learned that the hearts of the people melted and turned into water. So what do we think? Why do we think that their hearts melted and turned into water? You think maybe they thought God had forgotten them? Or what? What is anybody have a thought as to what they're thinking here? No one? We'll talk about it a little more. So then what also happens after this, and after basically Joshua gets news that they had lost, because truly they lost this battle. So they lost the battle of Ai. So they lost the battle of Ai. And so Joshua then rents his clothes, as verse 6 says, and he fell to the ground or to the earth, and he started praying. So Joshua starts praying once he prays at the ark, and he also puts on dust on his head along with the elders. Did you think he not prayed beforehand? Or did you think they just thought maybe they had the victory, God had done it before for him, that they just, he's going to do it again? Did you think the people, after they lost, maybe they had, what I want to say, they just lost faith? What do you think? What are we thinking? Somebody talk to me, please. Don't let me be the only one talking. Okay. So in this, so then afterwards, getting back to this, after he fell, Joshua asked the Lord, "O Lord, wherefore hast thou at all brought this people up over Jordan to deliver us into hand the Amorites to destroy us? Would to God we had been content and dwelt on the other side Jordan." So basically he's saying, Lord, you brought us over here to hand us over to them. Lord, is that what you brought us over here for? So it sounds like Joshua feels that the Lord has forsaken them, and just almost like the Lord, what I want to say, I'm thinking of the word. I'm thinking the word is not coming. That the Lord abandoned, but I don't want to say abandoned. Almost like, is this trickery? You've done all of this for us, and now you brought us here, and we're here in Ai. And Lord, we've lost this battle. You've been with us all this time. Now, this is what you did. You brought us here. You delivered us for us to lose again. Okay.
Well, maybe they had won so many battles, and then this particular battle, they didn't go to God and ask for his help or his blessing. And sometimes, when we have a lot of victories, we might become prideful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And leave ourselves open to, actually in this case, being defeated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because they were defeated. Right. So I agree. So go ahead.
As I said, the additional thing I had to look it up right quick. They said Achan had disobeyed the Lord. He had taken some of the spoils, some gold or something else.
Mm-hmm.
And because he had disobeyed the Lord and taken and not dedicated it to the Lord, that caused him and some others to be punished, like 21 other people to be punished.
Mm-hmm.
And that was part of their reasoning in losing this battle, because they had two battles with AI.
Okay.
So the first one was lost because of the disobedience, but it was just the second battle, but it was 36 battles in all. Was it 36 or 26? I don't forget now.
So do you think at this time that they're aware of this though?
Well, they had to be now, because Achan was punished.
Well, he wasn't punished. Well, technically, like I said, this kind of leads in from chapter 6 to leads into, so chapter 6 kind of gave us a preview of what's happening. But do you think, because the reason I'm only asking is because remember Joshua is praying and he's asking the Lord, okay, God, what should we do, or what should I do right now? Because it looks like you've turned us over to the hands of our enemies, and if this group, if we've been turned over to the hands of our enemies, just think what's going to get out now. Initially beforehand, we were conquering everybody and we were doing everything. Now all of a sudden we've lost. And so what should we do? What should I do? What should,
Well, you got it in yellow, where he said he answered them and told them they sinned.
Okay.
And then he told, and then was the second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th verse you got up there, where he tells them what to do so they can continue to have success and following what he said in terms of conquering the land that he promised them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. which is true. I do have a highlight. I shouldn't have had a highlighter, right? So actually, if you look at, he told them they sinned, they transgressed. They didn't do what he told them. So when we said back in if we look back at chapter 6, remember that he gave them a process of what to do. And he gave them instructions and specific instructions on what to do. And now we see that they didn't follow those instructions. So since they didn't follow those instructions to the T, now the calamity has happened, right? The consequences of them not following what was said to them. And so he actually tells them to get up and sanctify the people and say, sanctify yourselves against tomorrow. For thus said the Lord of Israel, there is an accursed thing in the midst of thee. Now, that's interesting to say, an accursed thing. Not a person, but a thing in the midst of thee. O Israel, thou canst not stand before thy enemies until you take away the cursed thing from among you. That's interesting to hear the word thing. You know?
Well, it's the stuff he stole.
So, okay, so, all right, okay. So you're saying it's just thinking about just the stuff he sold as the things, as he stole as the thing. What about him?
Well, you know, the Bible has a theme about disobeying and being punished.
Right, right. And it's interesting. So interesting how it's just saying thing. But then he goes on to say in 14, in the morning, therefore you shall bring according to your tribes. Now it's interesting that I'm bringing the tribes according to your tribes, and it shall be that the tribes which the Lord taketh shall come according to the families thereof, and the families which the Lord shall take shall come by households, and the households which the Lord shall take shall come man by man. And there shall be that he that is taken with the accursed thing shall be burned with fire, and he and all that he had, because he has transgressed the covenant of the Lord, and because he hath wrought folly in Israel. Isn't it? That's who, because of one man, his whole family, the whole family shall be burnt with fire. And not just him, as you said, to society, more than just him. You know, thinking about that. Anybody want to add anything to that? So Ashan or Chan is the reason for that Israel has sinned. It's just one man causes this destruction. It's one man. So here we look at it. Here's his sin. So look at all of this. It's interesting. I wonder if it really was like that. You know, I'm sure it was, because it was tantalizing to the eye, or titillating, or however that, to the eye, to see all that. And we're taking this land now, and all that's here. And I'll just take a little bit. God ain't gonna miss this, or they ain't gonna miss this. So Joshua rose up early in the morning. Did you just laugh? And brought Israel by their tribes, and the tribe of Judah was taken. And he brought the family of Judah, and he took the family of, these are all the families. This is almost like the begot. This one begot that one, and that one begot. And Joshua said, and I'm going with 19, said unto Ashan, my son, give, I pray thee, glory to the Lord God of Israel, and make confession unto him, and tell me now what thou hast done. Hide it not from me. So going back to chapter 6, I'm thinking about to chapter 6, when they talked about it in chapter 6? I'm thinking about the chapter, thinking back and looking back. Okay, now, just thinking back now. So I wonder, or it's saying that he confessed, that Ashan confessed. He confessed that he had done this. But you think somebody sold him out too? Did somebody sell him out and say, well, I saw Ashan with all of this stuff, and we was only supposed to take this, or we were only supposed, you think that somebody sold him out? Or do you think he just came for himself, embarrassed because they didn't win the battle?
Maybe other people in his family knew he had taken that stuff, and that's why, the whole family was taken out
Mm,
once the confession was made. Maybe.
okay.
Like they knew that he had taken those things, and maybe he told his family members.
Okay. Because it's interesting. I wonder how that actually came to be. I know he said he prayed and the Lord told him what to do, but how did it really come to be that that's who they knew had done thus, you know? And then he confessed.
Well, I guess it would be, I don't know, I'm guessing now. So when you look at Joshua, he was was he the son of Nun?
Right.
Okay, and then what tribe did he represent?
Now that history, that part I'd have to say, I don't know
Oh,
exactly what
okay,
tribe.
so when it looks and when you're reading here, and although it gives that genealogy part,
Mm-hmm.
if you notice, it breaks it down by tribes. Because what is it only? It's only I know it's 12, right?
Right.
Okay, so it's 12 tribes, and it depends on who all the advisors. I'm thinking he has an advisor per tribe. And
Mm.
so as he's doing this, and then he's saying there's among you, and then he's probably saying among those of you who we are considering for the people of the council. Well,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Achan was one of the ones of the council.
Mm.
And it was easy to figure it out because everybody else probably was like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Like Shaggy, it wasn't me.
Right. So it is interesting, that you knew somebody took it, and I wonder how many, So,
But we
and
can't count short either the discernment that God gives.
agreed, agreed, agreed. I agree. But not only that, so just thinking that these tribes or these individuals would wonder, did they take part in some of it too? Did they have some of it?
It was 21. It was 20, what, 21 or 22, whatever number in the 20s of them it was.
Wonder if they had, I mean, just some questions, just some things that make you think, right?
I don't know, but if you think about it, sometimes you think about like in battle. I
Right.
don't know. We all have jobs or whatever. If you think about in battle or in homes or whatever, and you look about, okay, almost that show like where's the weakest link?
Mm-hmm.
And you could almost tell the weakest link. What do the weakest link be doing? They shaking their leg or they twiddling their fingers or they looking off or something. They
Mm-hmm.
kind of giving clues that they the weakest link. And maybe when they started to lose, it wasn't a overall all the 12 tribes where it first started to cave in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it caved in right when it came to that tribe and then it spilled over. I
Man,
don't know. I'm just speculating here.
I mean, that's because it doesn't really tell us. It doesn't really tell us how it came to be, really, that he was the person, unless somebody knows it and I just hadn't seen it. Just how they know. So, but then again, he did confess. He confessed, and then he which verse was it? It was which verse? And that 22nd verse, because I'm going past it. So 22nd verse, but not only 20, but then look at 21st verse. When I saw among the spoils a godly Babylonish garment and 200 shekels of silver and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them and took them. And behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent and the silver under it. So okay. So I wanted to see here 200 shekels of silver. The shekel was the basic unit, trying to see how much that was. So the total weight of the silver was considered more than 80 ounces. The gold that he had weighed 50 shekels, about 20 ounces. So Achan's actions, beside violating God's instructions, also were a violation of the 10th commandment. which is so true. Thou shalt not steal. Okay. So, which is so true. So just thinking about that. So then they went to his tent. Joshua sent them to his tent, and that's where they found it.
Oh,
And they
yeah,
took,
he had. If you look at it too in the storyline in all
Mhm,
your yellow,
mhm,
it's like an inquisition, because when you look, it was like he brought this family, he brought this family, he brought this family. And it's like, okay, we're gonna go by process of elimination. Now we done took all these houses of Judah. Everybody done said something. Somebody here done something. And then it was like, what I'm gonna do? I better tell it because everybody else gonna get in trouble.
mhm.
And then when you're talking about how much it's worth, and back then is like just like now, those are precious metals and stuff that are um valuable. And so when you see it, it's almost like sometimes we do it without even knowing. People give us little trinkets, pens, and all
Right.
kinds of stuff, and we go to places and we be like, oh, I don't want one, I want two. It's like,
Mhm.
well, they let you take two, but generally they have one per person. I'm guilty.
So, so just thinking that he took a lot there. So he was building him an arsenal. In case something happened, he had that to fall back on. Okay. So then they took him out of the midst of his tent and brought them unto Joshua and unto all the children of Israel and laid them out before the Lord. Mm, mm. It's something. Just can you imagine? Just pouring out everything that he had. Whole thing. Thought he had something. And then his death as a result of disobeying. So is like, didn't you say the weakest link? We gotta get rid of the weakest link, because
Right.
the weakest link might do it again. And we can't have the weakest link messing us up, especially when we've been following what God told us all this time and been winning all this time. And he's been, delivering us all this time and showing us how good he is all this time. We get this one person, as they say, you know, this one person, all it takes is just one, and they mess up what God has been doing for us, and we mess up how we've been winning and our victory. He messes up us this one time. Just this one person does this. And Joshua and all Israel with him took Achan, the son of Zerah, and the silver, and the garment, and the wedge of gold, and his sons, and his daughters, and his oxen, and his donkeys, and his sheep, and his tent, and all that he had, and they brought them unto the valley of Achor. And Joshua said, when hast thou troubled us, the Lord shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with stones and burned them with fire after they had stoned them with stones. Now you just didn't do it, and it wasn't enough just to hit me with the stones or throw stones at me, but you had to burn me. You had to burn me. What is this? I mean, why? Why? The stones was enough, and then you did all my family too, and all that stuff that I acquired and more. You know, that's some true that's some true punishment for some disobedience, and I guess that's some consequences of us being disobedient to what God told us or the instructions that were given. You know, anybody have anything, please? No one has anything. All right. See what my last one says. So the valley of Acre, and they raised over him a great heap of stones unto this day. So the Lord turned from the fierceness of his anger. Wherefore the name of that place was called the Valley of Achor unto this day. So here we see these stones again. So remember, we had the stones back when they were crossing the Jordan. Here we have the stones again. I wonder, and I have to look at that significance, what that significance really means with that stone, with the stones. What does this significance really mean with these stones? Because it's got to have some well, I guess it does. It's showing it's a memorial. Here we have the memorial. So it's the memorial that God brought us through the Jordan. And then we also have a memorial here of what God done when we were disobedient as well. So here's another memorial. Anybody, before we go to chapter 8, I guess I'm going to start chapter 8, please.
Yeah, what does the word Acor mean?
Huh?
What does the name Acor mean?
I don't know. That's what we look. Can you got a moment to look it up and see? Acor. Google it real quick. I don't have it in one of my things. And trying to see if it made stone or something. Because where's in the valley of Acor, something they used before? That was it. This first set of stones was set there, wasn't it?
Okay, see, what is
Valley of the Stones.
The verb means to stir up, disturb, or trouble. The noun means trouble. The name Acor means trouble. What is the biblical meaning of? Oh, that's anchor. That was so trouble.
Well, maybe it could be. Maybe at that time. Maybe thinking about that,
Stir up or cause trouble. Yeah.
Because just thinking about them coming through the Jordan was trouble for them. They had to get through the Jordan to get where they were going, to get to Jericho. Now thinking of this, that what Ashan, what he did was trouble. So that could be the valley of trouble, or just thinking about that. And I should have brought my dictionary down. Next,
it says here the valley of Achor or Acor. Sorry. The idea of the word being that of trouble, which is serious and extreme. See Achan, the place where Achan was executed in the time of Joshua. In all of the 5 places where it's mentioned, it is described as the Emek, the arable valley of Achor. There is no ground in the record for the current idea that it must have been a locality with horrid and dismal physical features. It was on a higher level than the camp of Israel in the Jordan Valley, and on a lower level than Debir, a different Debir from that of Joshua 15:15. In a general way, as indicated by the points mentioned in the border of Judah, it was north of, okay, let me see. Many identified it with Wadi Kelt, which descends through a deep ravine from the Judean hills and runs between steep banks south of the modern Jericho to Jordan. Okay. By implication, the thing depicted seems to be these rich agricultural localities so far recovered from desolation as to be good grounds for cattle and sheep. Hosea recognizes the comforting aspect of the dreadful affair in the valley of Achor. It was a doorway of hope to pardon Israel, and he hopes for like acceptance for the Israel of his own day.
Okay. So moving on to chapter 8, we can start this. We'll start it. So now chapter 8, we're thinking. So you had mentioned this, Sister Side. You had mentioned this, that they fought Ai again. So here in chapter 8 is that they're actually preparing again for their rematch, as we say, their rematch with Ai. Okay. And the Lord said unto Joshua, fear not, neither be thou dismayed. Take all the people of war with thee, and arise and go up to Ai. See how I have given into thy hand the king of Ai and his people and his city and his land. Here again. See, I have given. Didn't we say that before to them? Once before he said that to them. I have given the land to you. So now he's given the hand of the king and his people and the city and his land to them. Again, he's making that known. I want to read this. But says, and thou shalt do to Ai and her king as thou didst unto Jericho and her king. Only the spoil thereof and the cattle thereof shall you take for a prey unto yourselves. Lay thee an ambush for the city behind it. So here again, the Lord is saying to them again what to take. Isn't he saying that again, right? He's saying it again, what you shall take, right? But I have a question. do you think with this now that because of the sins of Achan, do you think that their relationship with God has been broken? You think
I
that?
don't think so because they purified the city by getting rid of the family that caused the sin.
Okay, so you don't think so. Okay. All right. So if you look at these first two verses that we just read, or I just read, do you see again that the Lord is encouraging Joshua again, or encouraging Joshua, that's basically saying, which is also helping to say that we still have this relationship. Because I'm still going to give you what I promised you. But again, you have to follow what I say, right?
Right.
You have to then again do what I say. I told you, here again, I'm telling you, only the spoil thereof and the cattle thereof shall you take for a prey unto yourselves. Something I read is another translation I'm seeing in the Ryrie Bible. It was actually saying, it said it was making a reference to another. It was saying making a reference to another scripture. That's all I was thinking. So disregard that. But so the relationship isn't severed. Is that what we're saying? So Joshua, this time, when he goes out, he takes 30,000 men of valor. So do you think that Joshua learned his lesson from the first time with Ai? Because his spies told him the first time, oh, don't worry about it. Send about 3,000 men. Send about 3,000 men. And I send this 3,000 men, and 36 of my 3,000 men die, and my, 2,964 come running back. So what do I do? If I send 30,000, so that I multiply that by, is that by 10,000? I sent about 10, I multiply like that 10 times. I sent out 10 times as many men this time. Right?
Right.
I sent out 10, just so I sent out 10 times more as many men. And God then commands them, lay wait against the city. So wait behind the city, still giving these instructions. I don't want you to go far. I don't want you to go into the city, but I want you to be ready. Be ready, because you're going to ambush and seize the city. Right? So we're going to ambush them. Just look at this, okay? Something that I read said God tells Joshua to take all the booty. By booty, we are obviously referring to Ai's treasures. It says God decides at this time that he will allow for them to keep some of it. So he's saying, okay, but he told them what to take again. All right. But he told them that the first time, didn't he? And you had Achan who didn't. So the Israelites plan to ambush the city from behind. And what happens is,
What fruit is dessert?
What?
What fruit is dessert?
And it shall be that you have taken the city, that you set the city. Again, here we putting the city on fire again. So we're putting the city on fire again. So he says, in verse 8, and ye shall be, when ye have taken the city, that you shall set the city on fire. According to the commandment of the Lord shall you do. See, I have commanded you. So you got specific instructions again. Joshua sent them forth, and they went to ambush. So we're going to ambush. We ain't going to let Ai know we're coming this time. So we let Ai know we were coming last. We're not going to let them know come up this time. And want you to rest between, and remember, I showed you the map. On the map, they showed you Bethel, and they showed you where Ai was. So you need to be on the west side of Ai. Okay. Anybody, anything? Got any questions? Got anything? I didn't want to go this far into. Okay. And Joshua rose up early in the morning and numbered the people and went up, and he and the elders of Israel before the people to Ai. And all the people, even the people of war that were with him, went up and drew nigh and came unto the city and pitched on the north side of Ai. Now there was a valley between them and Ai. So there was a valley between them and Ai, right? And he took about 5,000 men and sent them to lay an ambush between them. Because remember, I said they're going to ambush the city. They're going to take the city, right? And when they had set the people, even all the hosts that went on the north of the city, and their liars in the way on the west side of the city, Joshua went that night into the midst of the valley. And then just thinking about verse 15, it says, and Joshua and all Israel made as if they were beaten before them and fled by the way of the wilderness. So they had a different game plan than they had before. We have a different game plan before. And there was not a man left in Ai or Bethel that went not out after Israel. And they left the city open and pursued after Israel. So now remember, Joshua he took 30,000. Somebody had something to say? 30,000. Then we did the 5,000, but we still they're still waiting around to ambush the city, right? That's what they're doing. And the ambush arose quickly out of their place, and they ran as soon as he had stretched out his hand. All right. And they entered the city and took it, and hasted set the city on fire. So we're looking at them being victorious now. Now, a question. If they put the city on fire, how would they then get what God told them they could have? So remember, God told them earlier in verse 2. Was it verse 2? Yes, in verse 2. Only its spoil and its cattle shall you take as booty for yourselves. Lie in ambush for the city behind it. But if I put the city on fire, question, anybody?
I don't know, but it sounds like Shaka Zulu to me.
You would say Shaka Zulu. Huh?
I was going to ask that though too, because I know they had, maybe because they had so many different cities to go through, because I'm looking at what he said, take with them,
okay,
and destroy. And maybe because it's kind of like, let me see. I'm trying to think of how to compare it to something, but because the other thing is that because they had so many different things to go to, they might be like cousins of cousins of cousins in the different cities. And maybe the cousins would all align themselves and turn around and attack them. I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out, because I was just thinking about that. They're burning everything, but they're taking the cattle and stuff. Okay, so they can eat, they can have stuff to trade with, or they can have stuff to barter. But then they're really going to be destroying all these 36 or however many cities it was anyway. So, what are you really? I mean, are they really killing everybody, or? I mean, I know it said you will be destroyed by fire next time, but
that's an interesting. I'm glad it's interesting, an interesting thought to think about, because you sent in so many, right? And I guess because you had the 30,000, so it's just a matter of thinking about this. You had the 30,000 that you took, but then it also tells us he took about 5,000, and they waited in ambush for them. So where did this other 25,000? Where were this other 25,000? You know, we account for 5,000, but where's the other 25,000? Because Ai and king of Ai and his warriors saw, I guess, maybe this 5,000 and followed after this 5,000, sounds like, or followed after whoever. And that's how they went in and ambushed too. You know, is that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, And then just think about it. Now I see myself, I'm trying to fight you or try, to keep and then I turn around and see that you burned my city.
They weren't trying to fight, they got conquered.
Which is true. They got conquered, right? So they see it, as verse 20 say, and when the men of Ai looked behind them, they saw, and behold, the smoke of the city ascended up to heaven. They had no power to flee this way or that way, and the people that fled to the wilderness turned back upon the pursuers. So
Also, some of them did live. Maybe that's where some of the other people were.
maybe
Spread out in the places where people would run.
But then look at 21 though. And when Joshua and all Israel saw that the ambush had taken the city and that the smoke of the city ascended, then they turned again and slew the men of Ai. And the others issued out of the city against them. So they were in the midst of Israel, some on this side and some on that side. And they smote them so that they let none of them remain or escape.
Mm.
So they destroyed the city. Almost, it sounds like they destroyed the city completely, doesn't it? And it says, and the king of Ai, they took alive and brought him to Joshua. So it says that the Israelites killed 12,000 men and women and hung the king. Oh, let me not go first. And it came to pass when Israel had made an end of slaying all the inhabitants of Ai in the field, in the wilderness, wherein they chased them. And when they were all fallen on the edge of the sword until they were consumed, that all the Israelites returned unto Ai and smote it with the edge of the sword. So they were killing everybody. For Joshua drew not his hand back wherewith he stretched out the spear until he had utterly destroyed all the inhabitants of Ai. So it's almost, here's the Moses principle. Remember Moses principle. So kind of when he threw that, it meant go. You got it. So that sword or that spear is a symbolic of God being there and being in the midst. It's like him being there and being in the midst and having the control, right? Only the cattle and the spoil of that city Israel took for prey unto themselves, according unto the word of the Lord, which he commanded Joshua. And Joshua burnt Ai and made it a heap forever, even a desolation unto this day. And then they killed the king, looks like. And the king of Ai, he hanged on a tree, that is sound proper English, until eventide. And as soon as the sun went down, Joshua commanded that they should take his carcass down from the tree and cast it at the entering of the gate of the city and raise thereon a great heap of stones. Here goes those stones again that remained unto this day. Then Joshua built an altar unto the Lord God of Israel in Mount Ebal. So here's those stones again. Those stones were quite significant back here for Joshua. Everything was those stones. It says Joshua then builds, so Joshua then builds an altar to God on Mount Ebal, as it was instructed to Moses. So Joshua was basically here, Moses again. He actually took Moses and that spear, symbolic of him and Moses with his staff, right? So I guess almost sounds like thinking about the cattle and the spoil. If you burn the city, how you get the cattle and the spoil? But I guess the cattle had to run and you had to wrangle them up. So think about this. Then maybe that's what the other 25,000 or the other whatever helped with, right? As just a thought. Any questions? Anything? Anybody have anything they want to add, please? Trying to see. So it says an altar of stones, whole stones referring to unfinished stones. Let's see the significance of stones for them. Anybody, any questions? We did 2 chapters. We made 2 chapters. How about that? We'll do chapter 9. We made 2. I'm happy with 2. Right? I'm gonna start this. We made 2. Anybody, anything, you want to say anything before we go? Yes, maybe. No. All right, you guys. If nothing, we're gonna go. I'm gonna end it. I pray that God covers you. As y'all know, I'm sorry, Pastor's working late, but I just pray that God covers us, He keeps us, and He continues to protect us. And I will see you all on Sunday. All right?
All right.
Love you all. Remember, chapter 10, 11, we're going to see how far we can get. 10, 11, let's try 12. Go a little further.
9, 10, 11, right?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. 9, 10, 11. Okay, 9, 10, 11. Yep, we'll do 9, 10, 11 because 12 is a different thing. So let's do 9, 10, 11 because 9, 10, 11 gets us out of the central campaign. We were still in the central campaign. And let's get out of the central campaign. Oh, nope. We just got out of the central campaign. So we're going to do the southern campaign and the northern campaign. Okay, let's do, yeah. We'll do 9, 10, 11. All right?
All right.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Good night. Love you all.
Good night.
Good
Love
night.
you.